City of Truth, oh, how I miss you so very much. I'm here at Savvy Salon, owned by Rick and Lenore Leathers, part of our City of Truth church family. For those who don't know me, my name is Quincee Jackson, and I serve as the Director of Team Culture. Essentially, my job is to ensure that every area of the city is aiding in the mission of our church, which is to see lives changed through the lives of changed people. If we were hosting in-person services, you would normally see me throughout Southeast High School, running around and serving wherever needed. Whether that's facilitating the plug, which is our two-step course that shares the heart of our church, serving somewhere in the next gen department, helping with setup or breakdown, or answering the questions of a first-time guest. If there was a gap or a need of any kind, I would willingly step up to help. The highlight of the week for many of us was the weekend. With the camaraderie of the dream team, the excitement of families coming through the doors, and the dynamic worship, followed by the jaw-dropping and convicting word given by our pastors, we left energized and encouraged to take on the week. So when I think about 2020 and how all of that synergy had to cease, I'm sure it was easy for many to imagine the worst for our church. Just ponder for a moment of the impact of not being able to gather and serve on the weekends. What would it do to someone like me? What would it do to the many leaders and volunteers we have that diligently served on the weekends? Or even the impact this had on the rest of our city family, the hundreds of people we got to serve weekly. Fortunately, I can't look at 2020 in isolation of a particular moment. I have to look at it in its entirety, and all I can say is that God is faithful. At the city, our culture is defined by 5 heartbeats: love God, love people, pursue excellence, choose joy, and give generously. As the Director of Team Culture, we want the culture of the city to not just be something that our church family embodies in the house corporately, but we want it to permeate your house personally. So allow me an opportunity to be transparent. Another reason I'm here at Savvy Salon is because the Lord emphasized the importance of self-care for me this past year. Anyone who knows me or watched our coronaversary conversation, then you know I am an extrovert. I love people and all that entails. Being around people, serving people, talking to people, meeting with people. My life prior to COVID was filled with opportunities to do just that. So for the pandemic to come and interrupt everything for everyone, including the church, it positioned myself and all of you to reflect on where we are in our faith. Without the accountability that came with corporate gatherings, we were all left with ourselves in a very real and vulnerable way. For me, as a leader responsible for ensuring that teams are able to witness the mission of our church happening in their area, I was taken aback. Teams had to stop serving, and I had to eliminate meetings because there was no business as usual to discuss. Instead, 2020 became a time for me and all of us to slow down and be still long enough to see the things in me that busyness easily caused me to avoid. And maybe you can attest to this too. Being home more allowed me to be faced with how I was feeling about everything instead of continuing on in spite of how I felt. And in that, I realized that my feelings, my emotions, they too needed to be cared for as well. So what did I do with my feelings? I took them to God. 2020 laid the foundation for the beginning of a very real and raw conversation with myself and the Lord. James 1:23 through 24 says, For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in the mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away and at once forgets what he was like. And I can admit, that was me. I would be caught up in the doing of ministry, serving others, which I know God wants us to do, but I wouldn't make time for myself a priority. And I don't mean time solely dedicated to pampering myself, but I mean care for myself completely, for my body, my spirit, my mind, and my emotions. Is there anyone else who feels like deep, introspective work takes more energy than you have to give? I know I have felt like that for years, but boy, did 2020 reveal how much the Lord did not care about how taxing it made me feel. God allowed me to really confront who I am at home, alone, with time on my hands, who I am with my family. He showed me that sometimes the very person I am with others outside of the house doesn't always remain present with my interactions with my immediate family. This is the stuff in the mirror God showed me that He did not want me to forget. I allowed the mirror God placed in front of me to push me further into His presence. I realized that He wanted to continue to eliminate the places in my heart that I have yet allowed His hands to touch. This is what I consider compartmentalization. And really, there are 3 places in me. 1, places God has touched or is touching. 2, places God has yet to touch. And 3, places I have yet to discover. 2020 showed me how essential self-care is for me, especially as an extrovert who loves people. Self-care for me looks like time alone with Him. This is not isolation, but solitude. It is imperative that I make time to do the deep introspective work. And one way that I hold myself accountable to this work is to go to therapy. I see therapy as an appointment with God, and my therapist is a guide. I pray that God uses her to ask the right questions to get me to the place that He wants me to uncover. There is only so much work we can do alone, and there is nothing wrong with getting some help along the way. 2020 proved to be a very personal year for all of us. God took us out of the building so we could see who we really are outside of it. He gave us an opportunity to see the strength of our faith, while also giving us plenty of opportunities to grow and stretch our faith. We all got a chance to see who we really are when no one is looking. I dare you not to forget what the mirror has shown you, and I challenge you to do something about it. 2020 was not what any of us planned, but God kept us through it. Much was lost, but much was gained. My prayer is that all of us are better because of it. I love you, City of Truth. Can't wait to see you.